Welcome to Florida's Cannabis News Podcast, a weekly podcast exploring the legal, political, and economic changes to Florida's cannabis industry, covering important news and events for Florida cannabis businesses and professionals. Sit back and relax. Florida's Cannabis News Podcast begins now.
Good morning and happy Friday. Today is March 29th, 2019, and you're tuned into Florida's Cannabis News Podcast. This is your host, David, and I'm here every Friday covering the latest news and events in Florida's cannabis industry. Today we have another news-filled episode, so let's dive right into this week's top stories. This week's top story comes out of different parts of the state where more and more MMTCs are getting authorized to sell whole flower. The charge was led earlier this month by Curaleaf, being the first MMTC to sell whole flower in the state of Florida. But on Monday, March 25th, Curaleaf started dispensing whole flower in their Orlando dispensaries. This week, the Florida Department of Health gave Curaleaf the go-ahead to start selling whole flower. Another MMTC, Liberty Health Sciences, also got approval from the Florida Department of Health on Monday. Today, Liberty operates 12 dispensaries across the state of Florida. Patients can place an order online and will be ready for in-store pickup, or they can enjoy same-day delivery. This week, GrowHealthy also received approval to sell whole flower. GrowHealthy is a subsidiary of a multi-state operator called Ianthus. Ianthus plans to open 17 GrowHealthy locations in the state of Florida by the end of 2019. Rumor has it, VitaCann is planning to start selling whole flower today, March 29th, though I could not get a concrete response from my contact at VitaCann. According to a survey from MJ Freeway and New Frontier Data, whole flower is still the most popular way to consume cannabis with minimal processing. States that allow flower in their medical marijuana program see an increase in patients, and as flower is made available, the patient count in Florida is expected to grow quickly. To get the full rundown on Curaleaf's, Liberty Health Sciences, and GrowHealthy's authorization from the DOH to sell whole flower, visit the articles below in the show notes. Our second top story of the week comes out of Tallahassee, where hemp legislation is making its way through the legislature. The Senate Agriculture Committee on Monday approved a bill called SB 1020 that would create a regulatory framework for the hemp industry in Florida. The hemp industry is emerging in states after the federal farm bill was passed and signed into law in late December 2018. Episode 1 has a fuller breakdown of the federal farm bill. At the most basic level, the federal farm bill allows states to create their own hemp programs and submit a plan to the USDA in order to implement the program. Looking at a potentially lucrative new industry, Florida lawmakers are working on rules for farmers and businesses to grow and sell industrial hemp. Supporters of Senate Bill 1020 say hemp can be used for a variety of products such as rope, animal feed, and building materials. Senate Bill 1020, sponsored by Republican Senator Rob Bradley of Fleming Island, would authorize the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services to administer a state hemp program. The Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services is headed by Commissioner Nikki Fried, who's a major supporter of cannabis. In part, the bill would require people or businesses to register with the department if they want to grow, process, or sell hemp in Florida. The bill also requires background checks every 2 years for people in Florida's hemp industry. People and businesses who want to get into Florida's hemp program would have to agree to allow department representatives and law enforcement officials to enter their premises to conduct inspections and to make sure requirements are followed. The Senate bill next heads to the Rule Committee before it's ready for a floor vote. The House Agriculture and Natural Resources Subcommittee is scheduled to take up a similar bill, HB 333, on Tuesday of next week, and we'll break that down on next Friday's episode. Holly Bell, Florida's new director of cannabis, is ready to implement a hemp program. The Florida legislature is already off to a fast start in 2019 when it got SB 182 into the hands of Governor Ron DeSantis last week. So maybe the way that things are moving this year, Florida could see some serious hemp developments in 2019. Head on over to Jim Saunders' article in thedailycommercial.com for more quotes and all the details. We will keep you updated with this story as the two bills continue to make their way through the Florida legislature. This week's last top story comes out of Canada, where Choom Holdings has signed a letter of intent to purchase a 95% equity interest in a Florida-based vertically integrated cannabis applicant. Choom Holdings says upon completing the transaction, Choom will use its medical brand, Clarity Medical Centers, to create a network of branded MMTCs in the state of Florida. We could see Clarity Medical Centers pop up in the state sometime in 2019 or even in 2020. Choom has secured one of the largest national retail networks in Canada, and this letter of intent represents its strategy to become a full multi-state operator. Aurora Cannabis, one of the largest cannabis companies in the world that operates in 24 countries, has the option to increase their ownership in Choom to 40%. In November of 2018, Aurora invested $20 million into Choom. Chris Bogart, president and CEO of Choom, had this to say about the letter of intent. Quote, "We are very excited to be expanding into Florida and to bring Choom's medical brand to that market. Florida's medical marijuana program is a very attractive opportunity for us, seeing that it allows for vertically integrated operators, and it has been a market we've had our sights on for quite a while now." It seems that more MSOs tend to favor the vertical integrated markets, which is why Florida is such prime real estate for these MSOs. Head on over to Jay Phillips' article on marijuanastocks.com for all the details. As a reminder, we do have all the news covered on our Twitter account @_FL_Cannabis News and linked below in the show notes for your convenience. This week's patient count update from Florida's Office of Medical Marijuana Use brings us up to 197,107 patients in the state. That's it for our top stories. Let's move into upcoming events. Tonight, Friday, March 29th at 6 p.m., Ellementa Jacksonville is hosting an event called Why Cannabis Works for Women. Tonight, the group is talking about cannabinoids such as CBG, CBN, THCV, and CBD and how they all differ. The group will also be doing some giveaways. The event is located at Knuckle Up, 10501 San Jose Boulevard, Suite 1, Jacksonville, Florida, 32257. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased in the link below in the show notes. This Sunday, March 31st, Green Carpet Networking is hosting a networking event at Brew Bus Brewing in Tampa, Florida from noon to 4 p.m. Green Carpet Networking events are great. I've been to a couple myself. You meet professionals from all sectors of the industry. Tickets are $50 and can be purchased using the link below in the show notes. Medical cannabis patients get in free. The address is 4101 North Florida Ave, Tampa, Florida, 33603. This Wednesday, April 3rd, TrueLeaf and the Palm Chase Women's Club are sponsoring an educational event in Boynton Beach called Cannabis, the Risks, Benefits, and the Holistic Approach. The event will be at Palm Lakes Community Clubhouse from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The address is 10577 Palm Lake Ave, Boynton Beach, Florida, 33437. Dr. Anya Temmer, CEO of the Total Holistic Center, will be offering an educational seminar followed by a Q&A session. The event is free to register, and yes, the link will be posted below in the show notes. That's it for Florida's top cannabis news and events. If you have any stories or events you'd like to share, head on over to our Twitter account, _FL_Cannabis News, or email us at floridacannabisnewspodcast@gmail.com. If you like the content on this show, please go ahead and give us 5 stars on iTunes and share with your friends. If you want Florida's cannabis news and events updates delivered right to you, subscribe. Thank you for staying up to date with Florida's cannabis industry. I'll be back with you again next Friday for another news-filled episode of Florida's Cannabis News Podcast. Have a great weekend.